Eagles versus the Cowboys. Just a classic NFC East showdown, right? Dude, this game was pretty interesting. You know, it started off with Jalen Carter spitting on Dak. Not okay. I'm not gonna sit here and try to be some biased Philly fan. That's not what I do. But I thought it was interesting when they showed Dak in the fourth quarter, like spitting on the ground. And I know one is way worse than the other, no question. And Dak said he didn't do it, but I think it was a little bit interesting. Anyway, no, dude, this game was good. Couple things on both ends. Going into this game, I think expectations were pretty high on Philly. And expectations are still high because they're an absolutely stacked team. You know, the offense started off hot. Things kind of started to sizzle out in the second half. But I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was terrible. I mean, if you can have a night like they did, go 24-20 without targeting A.J. Brown only once in the fourth quarter, I say you had yourself a pretty good night. There were a lot of bad penalties that Philly was having in the beginning, and it really affected them. And just watching the game, I was like, dude, if their defense can just settle down against Dak, I wonder if it'll get interesting, because there was just some penalties on Philly's end. I think, what was it at half? Was it like 100 penalty yards on Philly or something crazy? And you saw in the second half, their defense settled down and they were playing much better. And you know, I mean, just to see some of the younger guys they have going, and you see Zach Bond chase down Miles Sanders like that. And Miles Sanders as a running back, I remember when he was on Philly, like, you think he's faster than Zach Bond, but I don't know, man. Zach Bond chased him down and got that. Then they ended up getting the fumble. The rookie Jahad Campbell knocked it out. Things could have got crazy if they would have scored right there. I'm not going to lie. But they didn't. And the younger guys on Philly's defense, you can kind of tell. And this is something that I've noticed with Philly. Just even being a fan, dude. Week ones, they usually tend to have pretty tight games. And going into this game against Dak in Dallas, I was like, there's no way that they're blowing them out, dude. There's no way. I just couldn't see it. Dak coming back, there's times when Dak is like an MVP player and he plays good against Philly. So I was like, it's not going to be like that. I was like, it's going to be a close game. And we saw that. Obviously the offense not throwing to A.J. Brown. Not really concerned about it. I mean, this is something that we saw from Philadelphia every once in a while. Every 1 or 2 games of the season, they just like to run the ball a lot. But I guarantee you A.J. Brown's going to be a focal point, especially the upcoming week against the Chiefs. Like, I'd be willing to put money on that, right? I thought Saquon played pretty solid. I thought Jalen Hurts was really efficient in this game. I know some people are going to be like, oh, he didn't put up these crazy numbers. And I saw other people on the other end like, Dak was just playing MVP. I'm like, bro, like, he had 30 less yards than Dak on like 7 less attempts. Like, what? Come on, man. Thought he played efficient. He had a really good rushing game. And the offense, they kind of started to fizzle out. So they'll obviously, interesting going from last year. Last year, it was the first half where the first 4 to 6 games, the first quarter, they weren't scoring games. They weren't scoring in the first quarter, and then you start in this game and they're scoring in the first quarter. So you just wonder if it's going to be like opposite, or hopefully they get it figured out. But I don't think Philly really looked bad in this game necessarily. You have Landon Dickerson getting banged up in his back. That's a bit of a concern because he's one of those better all-pro linemen on Philly's offensive line. So you obviously you're going to want Landon Dickerson there, right? Wasn't a terrible game from Philly. Wasn't a terrible game. It was a strange game on both ends. Then you go to the Cowboys, right? In the Cowboys, for everything that people have said in this offseason, and then the Micah trade ended up happening, I just have to say, dude, I'm impressed with Dallas. I really am. Going into these divisional games with certain teams, I expect it to be close. Some people were saying like, oh, maybe Philly will blow out Dallas. I literally never thought that. I was like, dude, this game is going to come down to the wire. When Dak is starting, CD, now you got, George Pickens playing. I was like, this game is going to be pretty good. And it was. I mean, their offense was pretty hot in the beginning. They kind of fizzled out like Phillies. I think this is just a result on both teams to not getting a lot of snaps in the preseason. I've heard other people say this, and I fully believe that. Like the first 1 or 2 weeks, the offense just does not play as good as the defense. And even the defense kind of has their miscues, right? But I thought that I thought they played good, dude. I thought they played good. They came out swinging really well, and Dak looked overall. Dak looked pretty damn good, bro. Like I was expecting Dak. I'm one of those guys that's always thought that Dak. I'm like he's a great quarterback. People can say what they want. Cowboys this, Cowboys that. Jerry Jones. Dak is holding down fort there, and it's been like that. I don't even want to get it twisted. Like Dak is a good quarterback. Make no mistake. Things have been a little bit weird in the playoffs, but he's a good quarterback, and you saw it in this game, dude. Like he was throwing dimes. He had some passes dropped, obviously. The weird thing for me, obviously from CeeDee Lamb, right? CeeDee Lamb had really some questionable drops in that game, and we saw it. And, during the course of that last drive, there were a couple drop picks. There were a couple drop passes from the wide receivers. Just a weird game overall, in my opinion. But it was entertaining. And the thing that really disappoints me about Dallas is that they didn't target George Pickens more. Dude, George Pickens, I'd have to go back and watch the All-22, but I would guess that he was getting open, right? Maybe not every play, but I was really disappointed in the lack of targets going to George Pickens. Like, I want to know what this dude is made of with a good quarterback, and Dak is that quarterback. So that's something that I hope they, I hope that's something that they get going in these upcoming weeks, because George Pickens is an absolute weapon. CeeDee is a weapon. Pickens is a weapon as well. Dude has great hands. But yeah, man. And then, going to their defense, I thought their defense overall honestly played pretty good. They did, even with the lack of star talent, honestly. I mean, on their side, I really love Deron Bland. I really love Trayvon Diggs. Malik Hooker, pretty good safety. I think at times Malik Hooker plays pretty damn good. And now that he's with now that he's back with Eberflus, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, there's a little bit of, they know each other. So I'm expecting a pretty good, solid season from Malik Hooker. But they played solid. Like I said, they were just like Philly's defense in that second half. They were playing good. The offense is fizzled on both sides. So you saw that. And, you could kind of see it, the lack of star power on the defensive line without Lawrence, without Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons would have probably been an effect in that game. There were plays where Jalen was kind of just like sitting back and scanning, had some time to scramble. Dude, you get Micah Parsons in there, even if Micah Parsons were to be locked up against Mailata or Lane Johnson, his motor is so high on those scrambles that Jalen had, he could have chased him down depending on the situation, because he's that type of player. But they don't have him. And so I don't know going forward as we see these coming weeks. I don't really know about Dallas's pass rush. I have no idea. I mean, on the other end, Philly didn't have Jalen Carter. Their pass rush was right? They didn't have their literal top, like, people talk about him as top 3 defensive tackle. They didn't have him on their team. With Dallas, it's just all right. So I don't know how it's going to be. For all we know, their defense could play solid all year, right? They got a good defensive backfield. But yeah, man, all around, pretty solid game. Really entertaining. And then we went from Thursday night to Friday night in Brazil. And I'm hopping straight into this shit because I'm excited. There were a lot of people that said a lot of things about the Chargers. People were off on them when they lost their offensive lineman. People saying this and that. Oh, they're going to be a running team, blah, 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 blah. Kansas City's so good. You can't doubt Kansas City, which you can't, right? They've had a lot of success. But for Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert and this team as a whole to go out and play like they did against the Kansas City Chiefs in this opener was impressive. It was so impressive. Like, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. Their offense played great. I thought their running game was solid. It wasn't eye-popping, right, with the rookie. We saw Najee Harris, what was it, like a couple snaps? So The run game was solid. The passing game was absolutely electric. It was electric. They got Keenan Allen back. When Keenan Allen came back, I knew it. I was like, dude, I watched him in Chicago last year. Keenan Allen can still play. And you saw it in this game. I think Keenan Allen, what did he have? If I remember right, he had over, what was it, over 70 yards, over 60 yards? I have to look at his stat line, dude. Let's look at this real quick. Because I remember him just getting mad targets all game. Keenan Allen versus Chiefs. I want to know, dude. I have to know. I didn't look. Because he was literally just going crazy against Kansas City. He was getting open. 68 yards on 10 targets. Justin Herbert was throwing to him a fair amount. And he had a touchdown too. So you have him. You got the young guy coming along, Quentin Johnston, who's had dropping problems. He looked great. Ladd McConkey last year, phenomenal rookie season. Solid offensive line, right? Even with that offensive lineman out, they played good. That Kansas City pass rush, they weren't really getting to Justin Herbert most of that game from what I watched. Like, they were playing pretty damn solid, dude. And their defense against Patrick Mahomes, man, like, they were playing phenomenal too. Like, you can tell the lack of talent for Kansas City just based off of that game. Like, you could tell that the Chargers defense just had no intimidation whatsoever. So I'm really impressed with the Chargers overall, dude. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I know the conversation with certain people, they're talking about them. They're like, oh, well, you know, they lost their offensive lineman. I don't know about them being in the playoffs. I'm like, they were in the playoffs last year, and with Jim Harbaugh, in his first year, they went to the playoffs. I only expect them to get better. And we saw it in this game. I mean, Jay Herb was out there throwing the rock literally everywhere, comfortably back in the pocket. If that's the type of shit we're going to get from the Chargers, yeah, the rest of the AFC should definitely watch out for the Chargers. That's all I'm going to say. And then you go to the other side with Kansas City. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes was literally doing anything and everything he could in that game, right? We saw the little cheap shot on the defensive player going out of bounds. I didn't really like that. I don't like that. Defensive players let up for the most part right now in this league, going towards the out of bounds. And he just lit him up. And I was like, bro, that's some lame shit, right? But I thought Patrick Mahomes, he also had himself a good game. He's doing anything and everything. I mean, he rushed for, what was it, like 50 something yards? Threw for like 258, if I remember right. You saw the lack of talent from the wide receivers, though. There were times when he was holding the ball and he just couldn't find anything. And he was off as well. Like, Patty Mahomes on those deep balls, I mean, come on. We all remember him with Tyreek Hill, right? Throwing those absolute dime deep bombs to Tyreek Hill. And I've heard them talk about it in this offseason. And you did see them pushing the ball down the field. But Mahomes was he was overthrowing his wide receivers on those deep balls. One of them connected, but was it one of or two of them? I remember one on the right, the deep right sidelines. But he was a little bit off. Yeah, man, it was kind of shocking. I was like, damn, it's like 2 or 3 deep passes from him that he's overthrown. I never expect that from him. But, hey, he literally did all he could in that game, in my opinion. You could just tell the lack of talent from their wide receivers. And I thought the rookie Simmons did a pretty good job. The rest of the offensive line, I mean, they were solid. That right tackle, why am I forgetting his name? I can't think of it right now, but I always remember his name right straight off the bat because he always has all those holding and false start penalties. The rest of the offensive line for the Chiefs, they're solid, but they also concern me still. Like, I don't really know if it's much better from the Super Bowl. That's how I feel about it. It remains to be seen. We'll have to see how the season plays out. But for right now, for me, I'm like, offensive line still maybe a couple issues. I wasn't really impressed with them, especially going up against a better pass rush. And I mean, in this game, Khalil Mack was going crazy. Like, you literally, like, you could just see him up against that offensive line. Like, he looked dominant. Their offensive line didn't look terrible, but they didn't look the best. And then on the Chiefs defense from Spags, I'm like, where is the Super Bowl defense that I've seen forever? And I mean, we all know they didn't look the best against Philly in the Super Bowl, but their damn offense couldn't do shit. And so, as a result of that, your defense is sooner or later going to give up points, right? And they did. But it didn't even look like a Super Bowl defense from Spags. And there was just missing spots in their zone coverage. Their defenders weren't really playing all that sticky of coverage. I didn't think McDuffie played necessarily bad. He didn't have his best game, but that rest of that defense, I don't know. Like every snap, I was looking for Chris Jones. I was like, "Where's Chris Jones? Where's Chris Jones?" And then we saw how it played out. They're trying to run. Chargers trying to run out the clock, and J Herb drops back, and Chris Jones takes that inside, literally loses the outside, right? Like containment on the outside is just open. J Herb takes it for a first down, ices the game, literal ices the game. You see the Chiefs defenders, Chris Jones and that linebacker literally just arguing with each other. I'm like, when the hell did we ever see this from the Chiefs? And so that was also shocking. I was like, damn. I was like, yo, Spags, get your dudes like under control, man. It's just the first game. Don't go over the top. But interesting game all around. And for right now, dude, people can say what they want. I give all the respect to the Chiefs because of what they've done in the past. And I still view them as a threat. Like, make no mistake, I'm not going to overreact off of week one. They're still a threat in the AFC. But for right now, I'm putting the Chargers over them. Yeah, I am putting the Chargers over them. Keep in mind, they still have the Broncos in their division too. So, yeah, man, this was for both teams. Broncos for both teams, right? In the AFC West. But this was overall a really good game. And you got to give the nod to the Los Angeles Chargers because they played damn good. But, yeah, man, I mean, two really good games to start off the season. You go Thursday, then you go Friday. Two highly competitive games. Both teams on both ends, right? Close games. This is what you get with the NFL. This is what we get with the NFL, and this is why we love this shit. It's competitive for the most part. Even, I know there's some games where, right, it's more of a blowout, but there's lots of times when we get this, and this is just good TV. And God, I love football. I don't even know what else to say, but yeah, man, appreciate you guys watching. I'll be sure to drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys thought about the games. Drop a like, subscribe to your boy. Don't be that hater. Do not do it. You do not want to be that hater. Just subscribe to your boy. Anyways, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. I'm outie. Deuces.
You good? Yeah, let's go.